Alright, I was deciding whether I should check out that building or head to the manor. Head to the peak or investigate the building. This could very well be a fateful fork in my path. I need to stay calm, think rationally, make the right choice here.
Enter the building again!
Just because we failed once doesn't mean it's the wrong choice. No.
Exactly.
I decided to do what Senior Detective suggested. For a second, he leaned in closer to the building. For a second, I'm like, did I pick the wrong thing?
Oh, jeez.
I decided to do what Senior Detective suggested and make my way toward the manor at the peak of the mountain. My mentor always chided me for being so rash. Maybe I wouldn't have been abducted if I had just waited for him like I was supposed to. What's more, I get this deep feeling of dread whenever I look at that building, to the right of the heliport.
You should check inside. It might be interesting, just saying.
Yeah, can we go back? I should follow Senior Detective's advice, especially considering that he must have a way better grasp of the situation than me. What is this place? Really? This island? I make my way up the mountain, quietly grumbling to myself when suddenly a chill runs down my spine. I quickly turn to look behind me. The only thing in sight is that building. Well, that's interesting. Would we have seen this if we hadn't checked the building at all?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I get the strange feeling that going there would have had irrevocable consequences for me.
You think?
My uneasiness lingers, but I turn my back and keep going in spite of it. I get the feeling you probably would see it either way, but...
Yeah.
I continue up the twisting mountain path for about 15 minutes until at last I arrive at the manor door. It was a gentle incline, but I'm still spent. I wearily take a seat, resting my back against the outside wall of the manor. It's the exact kind of setting you'd expect in any mystery novel. The manor's exterior speaks to its age and smells faintly of lumber. During my approach, I could only gasp at the structure's imposing beauty. On closer inspection, I notice its windows are constructed from an unnaturally thick glass, impossible to break or peek through. I stand up and circle the perimeter, but there don't appear to be any points of entry aside from the front door. If anything, it seems like it was built to house prisoners, not residents. This definitely isn't your average manor. What on earth could be awaiting within? I slow down and catch my breath. My hand is damp with sweat as I turn the knob of the door of the manor's only entrance. A loud clank rings out as it swings open with ease. The interior seems normal enough. Am I just overthinking things? I ask weakly as I take a step inside. As soon as I let go of the knob, the door closes on its own. Not one moment later... Huh? A sharp pain suddenly erupts in my head, causing me to stagger involuntarily. A shadow at my feet expands rapidly. My spine tingles as I feel something rushing quickly toward me. Without even a moment of hesitation, I kick out and leap to the side. However, something slams hard against the back of my skull. The impact sends me flying. My vision squirms, my mind already fading. I find myself unable to stand. Then the world fades away. Wow, we really pass out a lot in this game, huh?
Alright, game over again. Yeah!
Yeah, it turns out we did have to choose the other thing twice. Hmm? So, yeah, we're gonna have to figure out who we want to do, because there's gonna be there's obviously characters. There's gonna be a couple of people.
Well, let's see what they look like first.
Yeah. I'll read stuff out, and then when we get to the characters themselves.
Yeah.
Yo, guys, this chump ain't waking up. How's about I kick him around a bit? Don't be so violent, Rowdy. Your voice is nearby. I don't side with Doleful here. Violence is so not cool. Why don't we just, like, dump a bucket of water on him instead? That idea is just as extreme downtown. Let's try and consider our options rationally. Perhaps his vital organs are unresponsive. I shall administer a cardiac message at once. Cardiac massage. No need for that. I think he's waking up. I open my eyes, but my vision is blurred. The dizzying pain in my head is unbearable. There's a constant ringing in my ears, and my body won't move an inch. A wave of nausea comes over me, but I manage to stop myself from groaning. What happened? I vaguely recall being hit by something the moment I stepped into the manor. Actually, wait, let me see something. Okay, so we can only see people we've met so far.
I guess once they introduce themselves.
And these are just like terminology.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I vaguely recall being hit by something the moment I stepped into the manor. At last, my vision finally clears up. Who are you people? Get out of my house! When my eyes refocus, I met with several unfamiliar faces and a sturdy rope binding me. I'm tied up, surrounded by a group of strangers. What in the world is going on?
I could take her.
You can take her? Okay.
Yeah. You lousy intruder!
Girl in a sports jacket grabs me by the throat, glowering menacingly. She looks to be in her early teens, but her strength is incredible. Can't get a peep out while trapped in her iron grip.
You got some stones jumping us on our home turf. What are you spying for, huh? Huh?
Calm down, rowdy detective.
To hell with that. This jamoke might have offed some of our own. Plus, he won't even give us an answer. I ain't just gonna let that slide.
Well, he can't talk if you're actively choking him now, can he?
Huh? Crap, you got a point. Techie detective. Sorry, intruder. My bad. 100%.
The girl in the sports jacket lets me go, then immediately falls to her knees, touching her head to the floor as she apologizes. It's okay. You don't need to grovel about it. I'm still in the dark here, but I get that you have every reason to suspect me.
That checks out, but it don't make us right. One bad turn deserves another, so come on, hit me.
No way. No way am I going to do that. Besides, I can't. I'm all tied up, so please stop bowing. I've literally no idea what's happening. Who are all of you? What is this island? What's going on around here? As I ask the so-called rowdy detective my questions, the boy in the wheelchair approaches us. I take it you aren't here of your own volition. You say you aren't informed on the situation, right? Yeah, all I know is that senior detective brought me here. Senior detective? The boy called Techie Detective cups his chin in thought. I checked your eyes to verify you were unconscious. We'll just assume it wasn't a self-induced ruse for now. Did Senior Detective bring you to HQ? That doesn't sit well with me. Where do you fit in with the rest of us? What do you have to do with the Quartering Duke investigation?
Yo, Earth to Techie Detective.
Ow. Oh, sorry, I was lost in thought. Rowdy Detective pokes Techie Detective, snapping him out of his trance. He dips his head in apology. I'm as confused as ever right now, but I have heard of these two detectives before. Does that mean that all of them are... Anyway, should we let the guy loose? Keep grilling him while he's all tied up? And people are going to think we're into this kind of stuff.
Hold on, downtown detective. Oh, that's... Oh.
That's this... Okay. I mean, you can...
Oh, that's a different one.
Yeah. Huh? What?
If you want, I could take her.
Yeah, I think this is a boy. It's just, you know.
Okay. Sorry. I just, we should wait a bit longer, I think.
The trendy girl responds with indignation, causing the frail boy to tear up. Nevertheless, he doesn't back down.
Our enemy wields a deadly poison that can kill over 20 people. If this is him, he could wipe us all out just by scattering a trace amount of it.
Yes, that is me. I'm the poison man.
Yeah.
They call me Venom. Oh wait, is that copyrighted?
Bring him without at least a pat-down would be far too dangerous.
Oh yeah, guess I got a little antsy there. My bad. Even though her idea got rejected, the trendy girl called Downtown Detective laughs as if nothing happened. Thanks, Doleful Detective. No wonder you're number 14. Mad props.
Nonsense. I'm just paranoid. Still, I don't want any more victims, like all those people in the research facility. If anything, we need to be overcautious.
The somewhat androgynous youth speaks with a voice full of fear. Victims, like those in the research facility? The comment catches my attention, but now isn't the time to be asking questions. Instead, I hold my tongue and continue to watch in silence.
This has a, crap, what's his name? The I need to shit guy. I don't know why.
Nekomaru?
I just got, like, the same, Nekomaru. Yeah, I don't know why. I just got the same type of vibes.
Fear not, Sir Doleful Detective, even should his intentions prove nefarious. I, Armor Detective, swear to protect you. The armored man rests one hand on the youth he called Doleful Detective and the other on Downtown Detective.
Thanks, Armor. Physical exertion is a lot for me, so I appreciate it.
Though the boy smiles at Armor Detective, Downtown Detective waves off the gauntlet, looking utterly repulsed. Yeah, nah, I'm good. You're like suffocating me. Would you back off, number 32? Oh, you recall my rank? Despite mine being the only one here that is lower than 30? My heart is stirred. I swear on my life to protect you.
Yeah, he definitely gives me Nekomaru vibes, because it's just like he's so extra, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I get that, yeah. Take a hint. How annoying can you get? Armor Detective happily strides closer to Downtown Detective. He doesn't seem to notice the look of genuine disgust on her face. You want to take this guy? We're kind of going.
Yeah.
We're kind of going back and forth with him. So.
Yeah, I could take him. Moving on, we should touch base with the chief of our D-pads. We're lucky our devices signal allow us to communicate from the manor to the research facility.
A man who looks like a corporate employee joins conversation. He holds a familiar tablet-like device in his hands, a D-pad, the trademark of the Detective Alliance. I'm guessing the D stands for detective, but still.
Yeah.
Still.
Not directional.
Yeah, right. My heart beats fast in spite of myself as I guess at the nature of my company.
Thanks, workaholic detective. You're always so quick on your feet.
As soon as you started voicing him, I'm like, oh yeah, this will be perfect for Waffles.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, that look, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm taking her.
Yeah, well, I just mean because of his name.
Yeah. Oh, that and the guy, yeah. No, that,
Yeah,
that's even better.
Yeah,
Workaholic.
exactly. Yep.
Adulting 101. Plan. 2. Check. As for our Sleeping Beauty here, I got in touch with the chief, and he is indeed a fellow member of the DA, the district attorney.
Yeah,
Be
definitely.
safe.
Yeah, I keep
Be
thinking
safe.
that too.
Yeah, that's like the first thing that comes to mind. Be safe. I'd like to confirm with you directly. There is no mistake.
It's the Digimon Association, clearly. Right, no mistake about it. Though I only just got my D-pad, honestly, I'm completely new to this. Everything clicks into place as I speak with the man referred to as Workaholic Detective. I knew it. They really are part of the Alliance. And these aren't just any average members. They're so famous even a nobody like me knows of them. There could only be one possible reason why a group of detectives like this would be gathered here. It was the same thing I had been brought for, to discuss how to handle the quartering Duke. They're all here for that meeting, no doubt.
The only question that remains is, why would a new recruit who lacks even a proper alias be here at Detective Alliance HQ? Were you also invited to participate in our discussion regarding how to deal with the quartering Duke?
Yes, Senior Detective explained it to me. That's right, I have my own D-pad too.
So, the one in your shirt pocket really was yours. My apologies. I took the liberty of searching you.
And then I broke it. What? When? I don't know how, but Workaholic Detective is clearly holding my device. The fact he could swipe it without my noticing is terrifying.
Now then, if you would allow me to borrow your hand for just a moment.
Workaholic Detective grabs my hand to bypass the D-pad's fingerprint authentication, navigating to the message application with practiced ease. He seems to be checking my invitation to the Quartering Duke meeting, which I had been reading just before I fell unconscious.
I see. It's the exact same message as the one I received. It appears you truly will be joining us.
Relief washes through me at Workaholic Detective's smile, but it doesn't last long.
That being said, anyone capable of infiltrating this island would have no trouble faking a simple email.
Workaholic Detective's smile turns grim. His piercing gaze cuts right through me, making my body flare up with goosebumps.
Making lousy knockoffs, eh? You're asking for one-way ticket to hell, pal, courtesy of my fist. You don't give off that unique presence the rest of us detectives have. Just who are you? Yeah, you're just plain Jane. You're fucking vanilla, dude.
Yeah. We lack sufficient data for any conclusions for now. We have no choice but to keep him under surveillance until we can find out more. The other detectives watch me warily. Their eyes make it abundantly clear that they're on high alert. I completely understand why they suspect my exceptional circumstances, but that doesn't make their looks sting any less. Dwelling on doleful detectives' unsettling remarks earlier leads me to wonder what happened to the Detective Alliance. Look, being on edge won't help us at all, so why don't we just, I don't know, bring him along? We still gotta find Old Man Senior, so it's not like we have time to stand around arguing. Our minds are as one, Lady Downtown Detective. I fully concur. Let us treat him as a compatriot until more evidence appears. Our minds are miles apart, weirdo, but whatevs. Call me an airhead, but I'm with Armor on this. I think it'd be chill to take him with. Besides, I know my mystery stories. Splitting up would be like total suicide. Mystery stories, you say? Hacky Detective smiles wryly as Rowdy Detective grabs the rope tying me up.
Yeah, Downtown's got the right idea.
Rowdy Detective tears my restraints apart as if they're made of paper. I can now move freely except for my bound hands. But still, what raw physical strength. It's hard to believe a girl smaller than me could be so powerful.
Mistrusting each other is exactly what the Quartering Duke wants, so for now, I'll trust you too. I wish you'd ask before acting, but at the least, I do agree with the notion. My search didn't turn up anything suspicious. Until further notice, you'll be coming with us. Seeing as this is a race against the clock, I'll have to catch you up as we move along.
Thank you. The detectives head out, one after another. Now that the mood is lightened up a bit, I can't help but let out a sigh of relief. I've seen plenty of suspects get interrogated in mystery novels and shows, but never did I expect to be the one in the hot seat.
Wait,
I've
so
sure keeps
question
you on your
real quick.
toes. Yeah.
So like, they said there was an incident at the lab, so they're like, oh, they just left the dead bodies there. They're like, oh well, a lot of people saw it there. Let's just pile them up and leave them there. Like,
Yeah,
what the
I mean,
hell?
I have no idea.
Unless they don't want to tamper with the crime scene, but still, like, oh, if the stench is that bad, that means they've been dead for a while, which means it's like how long were they investigating? You know, it's like, are they just gonna leave it? What the hell?
Yeah, I have no clue what the deal with that is. It's probably fine.
Yeah.
Maybe they like it. Maybe they like the smell. We certainly did when we checked. That reminds me, what should we call you? Intruder? You don't have a detective. What should we call you, Intruder? I thought you were saying, like, should we call you Intruder? You don't have a detective alias yet, right? This is your chance to pick one.
Yeah, I also assumed she was calling him like an intruder, like, you know, like you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
my mind was
No,
in the same.
yeah. Well, my name is. Barely stopped myself from answering Downtown Detective with my real name. Keeping your name secret is the first rule of the Detective Alliance. It can be deadly for your identity to get out between cases. That's why, upon joining the DA, members are given a one-word code name based on a defining characteristics of theirs. That code name is known as a detective alias. I've longed to have one of my own ever since Mr. Konjoji told me about them. My detective alias is, despite my yearning for one, it's hard to think of anything on the spot. I have no experience, skills, or defining characteristics. To be perfectly honest, I couldn't even begin to guess why I was let into the Detective Alliance. What? Is it that hard? You're older than me. Shouldn't you have more life experience? Like, seriously, dude, I can't even with you. Sorry, this is really embarrassing. Well, let's think of one together. What are your skills? Anything you're good at in all the cases you've been in so far? I'm good at finding cats. They like me. But yeah, I mean, he works for a tiny agency, so he's never actually done anything too big.
Yeah.
Downtown Detective gives a deep sigh. My amateur status fills me with shame. Alrighty then. How about we call you Incompetent Detective?
Oh my, I misread that. I thought that was a impotent.
Wow, that would be really unfortunate. I mean, this is still unfortunate, but in a different way. What? Now that's just cruel. You might as well be saying I'm good for nothing. I mean, not that it isn't true, but still. I'd obviously prefer a different name, but before I can object... Hey, everyone, until we think of something better, this here is Incompetent Detective, okay?
Nice and humble, fit for a young gun itching to find his place in the world.
I see. So it's a caricature of your traits, in the same vein as doleful and workaholic.
Right. You're one of us now, Incompetent.
A name with which we can call upon your aid deepens our bonds. I am at your service, Sir Incompetent.
Picking on the new guy. Takes me back.
Incompetent Detective rapidly gains the approval of the rest. So rapidly that it's too late to dispute it, much to my chagrin. Look how fast your new name caught on. I'm so happy for you, Incompetent. It doesn't make me happy at all. Despite my protests, Downtown Detective ignores me, flashing a devilish smile. Thus did I become Incompetent Detective, an official member of the Detective Alliance.
Noise. Love it. What the hell is that clicking noise? Do you hear that?
Yeah, it's like footsteps.
Interesting.
Or it's I think it's supposed to be the clock ticking. Something.
Okay. I guess that, yeah, that would make more sense.
It is coming from the game. That was your question.
No, I knew it was from the game. I'm just like, that sounds kind of annoying because it's like pretty loud.
Yeah, it sounds like a sort of shuffling or something. I guess we'll see. A bright red carpet covers the floor, and landscape paintings adorn the walls of the corridor. The detective explained the situation as we walk down the passageway. The scent of the roses on display around us is drifting in the air.
This location to which you've been brought is an island that doesn't appear on any map. The DA's used it as a base of operations for years. It has two buildings, Snarks, a research facility for investigation support and gear development, and Gorgumgast, a manor for overnight stays. The original plan was for everyone to discuss the situation in the manor. We were to review dioramas of various quartering duke cases.
That was the plan? Rowdy detective suddenly punches the wall beside her, causing the other nearby walls to tremble from the impact.
When we got here, a bunch of the detectives from HQ had been snuffed out by poison. All 22 members at the research facility, gone.
All 22 of them? Every hair on my body stands on end at the unthinkable news. Even among history's most infamous mass murders, few had a death toll of more than 20. Killing 22 people at once is beyond all reason. The culprit piled their bodies at the facility's entrance as if they were naught but rubbish. Such savagery is no less than inhuman. Seeing that heap of corpses would have killed your appetite big time, incompetent. And the poison gas filling the room would have killed you for real. Oh, so that's what it was. It actually was poison. That's why we died. So we should go back and do that again. I think I still have the quick load ready if we want to do that.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, that makes sense because I was gonna say like, is that?
And that's why they also haven't done anything about it because they literally can't go in there.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Lucky you didn't go in there, huh?
Oh my.
Yeah, maybe I didn't. Maybe I did.
I feel like in another lifetime I did.
Maybe. A heap of corpses. Just imagining it makes me feel faint. And that's not even taking the deadly gas into account. Maybe Senior Detective knew about that gruesome scene, so he sent me straight to the manor instead. That would also explain why he hid me in the forest and went off on his own. I need to find him soon and thank him for keeping me safe. It was another quartering Duke attack, right? We're not sure yet. For how many deaths there were, the clues are awfully scarce.
Quartering Duke cases always result in two concurrent victims. This crime would appear to have a different modus operandi. The Quartering Duke did them in, no doubt. If I catch that bastard skulking around the island, I'ma clean his clock.
It's said that the Quartering Duke has killed over 100 people, but even that was over the course of half a year. On the other hand, murdering 22 people all at once, all of them first-rate detectives, no less, could hardly be the work of an amateur. I get the impression that he commits grisly deeds for the thrill of it, while otherwise his identity is a complete mystery. It's me. I'm the Quartering Duke. Could you fucking imagine?
Yeah, it's just like
it's like
Danganronpa 2.
Yeah. We began our investigation at the research facility, but then the chief's D-pad received a message from a surviving Alliance member. Techie Detective draws out his own D-pad and plays an audio file. Yeah, the senior detective, some attack research facility, all dead. I'm hiding in Gormangast. Chief, meet there. Help.
See, I wouldn't be surprised if it was an inside job. Like, I kind of get that feeling. But
Mhm.
I guess, you know, we'll find out.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
current thought.
I mean, if this island isn't on any maps and the only people here tend to be the detectives, then it's kind of,
Maybe it's like a former DA detective, or maybe it's a current DA detective. Who knows?
Yeah. I get the feeling they're, I mean, I imagine the DA is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you don't leave the DA unless you die.
Yeah, definitely.
But
It feels like that.
the recording cuts off there. Although the sound was low and full of static, even I could grasp what it signified. That's Senior Detective's voice, isn't it? He's alive. He's alive then? Thank goodness. Yes, I'm certain that's him. Making it through this situation unscathed, it's no wonder he's a legend among detectives. Is he really that incredible?
You know the Dayless Night incident? It still shows up on the news. Not only did he solve it, also a founding member of the DA.
The Dayless Night incident? Even school textbooks talk about that case. And you're saying he cracked it? I was a kid then, so I don't remember much, but it was the worst terror attack in national history, sparked by a new religious movement. From that event onward, criminal atrocities swept the nation, which is part of why the Detective Alliance was formed. Solving a case of that magnitude would absolutely qualify him as a legend.
Originally, we'd split up from the other detectives and headed to the manor to reconvene with Senior.
Soothly, it must be a villain most foul for even Sir Senior to be forced into hiding. We must hasten to his aid forthwith. Huh? You mean there are other detectives here besides you guys? For sure. There's, what, 6 more investigating the research facility? It's like a Detective BOGO sale in there. LMAO. I don't quite get what she means by that, but I guess it is a lot of detectives. I'm still reeling from the heinous murders we have yet to unravel, but at least now there's a glimmer of hope.
I believe we searched every room, but there's no sign of Senior.
Maybe the culprit arrived here before we did. Senior would have realized that and escaped. If the message was intercepted, the culprit could have easily got ahead of us. Oh yeah, I can see that happening. It took us, what, 10 minutes to get here?
But there's only one path from this facility to here, and it's surrounded by sheer cliffs. No one could escape without us noticing.
The detectives process the situation with impressive speed. I'm barely keeping up as I struggle to understand what it all means. Downtown's casual chit-chat is about the only thing that makes any sense to me. This room doesn't get wireless internet either? Why bother having a phone then? Ugh, this is such a major bummer. Even if there were a router here, I doubt it would do you any good. Oh yeah? Why? Because the island's off the grid? Not exactly. I tried connecting to a wired network in the research facility, but I couldn't get it to work at all. I made another attempt here at the manor a moment ago, but that failed too. The island's communications antenna must be down. But our D-pads can still link up to each other, right? What's the diff between that and our smartphones? Well, the D-pads have a unique communication system. As part of the R&D team, I must say, it's truly amazing tech. Basically, it works by... Okay, we get it. So I can't even, like, chat with my followers while we're here? Ugh, could this be any lamer? I prefer to see this as an opportunity. An opportunity for us fellow detectives to deepen the bonds of our camaraderie. Yes, it can.
Descent! You gotta be kidding me!
Rowdy Detective starts crawling on all fours like a dog right at the entrance of the room. She presses her face to the carpet with a sharp expression on her face. What's wrong, Rowdy?
Blood. I can smell it.
Huh? Silence fills the room. The others all turn to look at Rowdy.
Nearly missed it thanks to the rosy smell and red carpet, but the floor's got blood on it, see? From the entrance to them flowers.
Rowdy Detective approaches an empty vase and sticks her hand in it, pulling out a bloody knife.
Bingo! Don't know which poor mug's sauce this is, but I'll tell you one thing. Some goon was on the loose in here.
How did you even notice the smell? The blood is already dry.
Been hunting with my old man since I was little. I got the nose of a bloodhound, eyes of a hawk, ears of a rabbit, and a raw macho spirit.
I'm not so convinced that helping on hunting trips would give you those kind of abilities, but it's astonishing nonetheless.
Rowdy, that knife wasn't used here, was it? Yep, nothing in this room but traces and stains. Guessing they only came by to hide the knife. I can only track the scent, but the hall's chock full of roses. It ain't gonna be easy with them smelling of the place. Ah, I figured as much. But that said... Becky, might you have an alternative method?
Of course. I go by this alias for a reason, after all. Becky Detective proudly pulls a cute little machine that resembles a puppy out from his pocket. This is my tracking forensic friend, Sniffy Whiffy. The Alliance helped me develop him. He can tirelessly trace down any scent he registers, and his prime directive is to save lives. Furthermore, he has small rubber treads to cover tricky terrain without disturbing the scene, and can move up to 15 kilometers per hour. He's also equipped with a transmitter, so you can monitor him from a D-pad. Plus, he uses the same lithium-ion batteries that the International Space...
Yes, that's all very impressive. We'd love to hear more about it later, but for now, why don't we start tracking?
Nerd!
Loser.
Oh, right. Sorry. I get a little carried away when I talk about my inventions. Becky Detective returns to reality, hanging his head in shame.
Now, let's not waste any time. Use this tool...
Not even I'm that much of a nerd. He's not a tool. This is my friend. Don't just treat him like some piece of equipment.
And that's why he's your only friend.
Yes. Workaholic Detective bows several times in apology for misspeaking. True to his name, he's the very picture of a harried office worker. Becky Detective may seem calm and collected, but careless remarks about his inventions are a clear sore spot for his. I'd better watch my words. Sorry, everyone, for blowing up like that. Let's get to tracking that scent. Becky Detective calms down, setting his dog-like tracking machine, Sniffy Whiffy, loose near the bloodstain. Sniffy Whiffy scoots across the floor, just like a real dog. He circles around a couple of times, then thumps into the room's door. He's on the hunt. Let's open the door and see where he goes. I open the door and Sniffy Whiffy darts out of the room, barreling down the hall toward the stairs. All I can pick up is roses, but he must have zeroed in on that trail of blood.
Huh? How about that? My nose wasn't getting jack squat.
Strictly speaking, it's not the scent, but rather the air particles that he tracks. Hence why he isn't thrown off by other smells in the vicinity. So much for that whole nose of a bloodhound spiel.
Damn it! My nose is what got us this lead in the first place.
Sniffy Whiffy stops at a painting just before the stairs to the entrance hall. Sir Sniffy has halted. Could this be the site of the stabbing? No tin for brains. I don't see a blood stain, do you? The knife must have been used somewhere else, like behind the painting.
It was the painting who killed.
Yes, the painting is a murderer. But behind it, whatever could you mean? Are we going to jump into the painting? Is there a whole world in there? Is there, is there a world within the painting? To think the stuff of children's fairy tales could actually exist. I wasn't expecting them to actually say it.
Oh my god, that is fantastic. Relax, Armor. The answer is clear if you think through it logically.
Workaholic touches the painting as he inspects the frame. He then gently taps the artwork before pressing his ear against it.
Aha, no question about it. There's a hollow space behind the painting, which means that if I shift it like this...
Still touching the painting, Workaholic Detective moves his hand. The entire wall around it slips back like a sliding door, revealing a hidden passage. Yo, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Sniffy Whiffy, who had been waiting in place, begins moving again, right down the newly discovered path. How did you figure that out?
Trade secret. You pick up a lot when you've been on the job as long as I have.
Dang, Gramps, you've got me rethinking my take on you. No cap, I might even like IDK, kinda sorta respect you now?
I wish you wouldn't call me that. I'm still in my 20s, you know. Barely. But it still counts.
Guy does not look like he's in his 20s, but okay. And I'm 7, apparently. Workaholic Detective turns red in the face as Downtown Detective slaps him on the behind. Okay. That blade was used somewhere up ahead. As we know not what may occur, I shall stand in the vanguard.
Wait up, bucko. It's wide enough for two, see? I'm taking the lead too, so keep your eyes peeled.
Rowdy Detective tries to push forward, but is stopped by Doleful Detective.
Actually, would you mind guarding the entrance with Techie and Downtown, Rowdy? I think my abilities could come in handy here.
Armor and Doleful Detective are to spearhead our foray into the secret passage, with me and Workaholic Detective following after. Rowdy and Downtown and Techie Detective would remain at the entryway, acting as lookouts in case the tunnel is a trap. As for why I'm being brought along, it's probably because I won't be able to escape in this tunnel. I'm struck by the fact that Workaholic, the most experienced of the group, had deftly assumed a position behind me. These detectives don't miss a single beat.
Alright, Armor and I will lead the way.
As he speaks, Doleful and Armor Detective enter the tunnel together. Workaholic and I continue right behind him. The four of us descend down a spiral staircase that winds its way underground. At the bottom is a gloomy underground tunnel. We proceed into it, using the light function on our D-pads to guide our way. The only sounds are our footfalls echoing in the tunnel, as well as Sniffy Whiffy's treads crawling across the floor ahead of us. The air is dusty and reeks of mold, making it hard to breathe. Clearly, the place is seldom used. My love of cleanliness aches to ventilate the place. Doleful Detective's eyes narrow as he travels the tunnel. His usual fearful countenance is tense, as if he's an entirely different person.
Impressive, is it not? Doleful's intense concentration, that is.
Workaholic Detective whispers to me as if he's reading my mind.
Rank number 14. He solved over 100 cases and survived just as many bloody encounters as us veteran detectives.
Over 100 cases solved. The idea alone leaves me speechless. We can't be that far apart in age, and yet his track record is on a whole other level. What sort of heroic life has this seemingly gentle boy led up to now? What did Doleful mean when he said his abilities could come in handy here?
You'll see soon enough. He possesses what we in the Alliance would call the makings of a great detective.
Doleful Detective stops in his tracks.
Armor, stop!
What happened, Sir Doleful? Your leg is bleeding. Armor shines his D-pad's light on Doleful Detective's leg, revealing a trail of blood beneath his knee. Something reflects in the light just ahead of them. Huh? There's something at your feet.
My guess is that it's a trap to ward off intruders. Judging by the texture, it must be some kind of wire.
He's right. When I get close to the reflection, I see red dripping off an extremely fine wire. It was so razor thin and difficult to see that, were it not for the blood, it would have been nearly imperceptible, even in direct light.
This is the wire saw it. The wire saw the detective alliance is currently developing.
Why would the Alliance make something like this?
For cutting locks to enter sealed rooms, or as a means of escape when restrained. Word is that it requires specialty gloves to handle. Just to avoid touching it, given its intended use. It's so sharp that, with enough pressure, it can cut straight through human flesh.
Nice.
It's a good thing I noticed it then. It's a good thing I noticed it once it was halfway in my leg.
Cool. Cutting through flesh, just like it is right now. You're right. You're right about that. Workaholic Detective produces medication and bandages from his pocket and begins applying first aid to Doleful Detective's leg.
This is a rather nasty cut, but you're lucky to get off this lightly. Anyone else would have been liable to lose a leg in your position. Situations like these are about the only time my special skill ends up useful.
Special skill? What do you mean by that? For some reason, Doleful Detective struggles to reply. Workaholic steps in to answer on his behalf.
Doleful is a danger magnet with a knack for close calls, from traps to wanted criminals to finding murder scenes and even evidence. With his innate intuition and powers of insight are what have allowed him to survive such less than fortunate circumstances.
So that's how he has the makings of a great detective.
He almost dies in every situation.
Yep.
It's great.
In stories, detectives are always expected to survive, even when wrapped up in a personal case, and even when their life is on the line. And now I'm standing in front of a real-life detective who embodies that very trope.
It's not that impressive. In fact, I'd say I just bring misfortune to everyone and everything around me. It's kind of a miserable existence.
Doleful Detective's expression flickers as he touches a bandage on his wrist. The countless
That
traces
makes sense now, because it's like I noticed that he's bandaged up a lot. I was like, what the hell is that? But it's like, yeah, like now that makes sense.
Yeah. The countless traces of medical attention covering his body shows just how much suffering he's constantly endured.
Still, it's made me more sensible to threats than the average person. I can always sense when I'm in danger. So just think of me as your shield, your human meatbag.
Yeah. I see the resolve within Doleful Detective's eyes as he speaks. He and I may look similar. I might even be the older one, but nothing in me competes with that look. We couldn't be farther apart. Sir Doleful, you needn't be so reserved. Armor Detective abruptly steps forward. He then swings his arm up before bringing it down to chop the wire before us.
Armor Detective, that wire can cut steel. Just because you're wearing protective covering doesn't mean... And watch, he actually loses a hand.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, damn. I guess I won't have that anymore. No. Fear not. The suit in which I am clad is a product of my family's long-held secrets. Behold the strongest armor known to man. The wire parts with ease. Sure enough, Armor Detective doesn't have a single scratch on him. Both Doleful and Workaholic widen their eyes in incredulity. No matter the trap, mine armor shall prevail. Set your minds at ease and allow me to take the lead.
But putting me in front will minimize the total risk for our team as a whole.
I can't stand idly whilst my companions are hurt. Despite my inadequacies, I hastened here to be as an aegis for each of you. Armor Detective speaks with a calmness that eases Doleful Detective's tout expression. Despite the latter's brave front, he might have been nearing his limit.
Thank you, Armor. In that case, I'll stay back a bit and keep an eye out.
Armor Detective takes the lead as Doleful acts as the lookout behind him.
Armor, I could sense a threat right in front of me. About head height.
Another wire, eh? Understood.
I like how if you look at Armor's expressions, like the slits of his eye holes change to match his expression underneath.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Without a second thought, Armor Detective swings his hand toward the area Doleful Detective indicated. Chop, chop, chop. I don't know why that was in his voice, but sometimes Doleful's warning comes too late and Armor runs into a wire, but even then it never leaves a mark. We continue safely through the darkness. Until...
Based on the signal, the tracker has stopped 5 meters ahead. It would seem we've arrived at the scene where the knife was used.
We finally make it to the end of the tunnel with 0 injuries, save for a Doleful Detective, of course. Sniffy Whiffy is parked right in front of a steel door, which means the bloody knife we found earlier must have been used right behind it.
I hate to ask, Armor, but would you mind taking point?
No need to apologize, Sir Workaholic. My armor exists for this very moment. For the very moments I must forge such paths. And yet Armor Detective looks tense as he cautiously touches the doorknob. Goosebumps ripple across my body. Deep down, I get the overwhelming urge to scream, "Don't open it." It's as if my mind somehow knows that what we're about to see is truly horrific. I have an extremely bad feeling about this.
I don't know, for some reason I kind of feel like Senior Detective, or like I feel like Senior Detective might be dead, or it's just going to be a bunch more bodies.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of nameless bodies, and then we're like, oh, we don't know who these people are, it's fine. I shall open the door on the count of 3. 1, 2... Doorknob makes a click as it turns. My heart rate leaps, but I can't bring myself to look away. 3! A blinding light flashes as the door opens, forcing me to avert my eyes. On top of that, a metallic stench envelops me. The way it sticks to my throat makes me cough. However, none of the other detectives show even a hint of fear as they proceed beyond the door. I hurry to follow them, but at that moment... Doleful Detective's cry echoes out. As I step into the room, the first thing I see is the ground dyed in crimson. The red spreads across so much of the floor that at first I mistake it for a carpet pattern. But there's no way that's the case. Despite my hateful disbelief, the smell filling the air tells me that this is blood. With each breath, the metallic stench fills my lungs, my stomach, my whole body. I'm assailed by an overwhelming urge to vomit. If I lose focus for even a moment, I know I'll wind up spilling my guts out. Upon closer inspection, I notice something floating in the ocean of gore. It's large and reminds me of a caterpillar. 4 other long, thin objects surround it. In a way, they resemble a quartet of lifeboats, all rowing in different directions away from a sinking ship. But in truth, they are human limbs, scattered about across the floor. Before us is a scene devoid of life. A man whose name I don't know gazes at me, his head half submerged in a sanguine sea. My eyes are transfixed as I stand there in a daze. There's a biting chill, as if the temperature has dropped by quite a few degrees. My hands and legs tremble, I can barely stand. Every ounce of strength leaves my body, which no longer feels like my own. I muster up all the willpower I can, only to topple over on the spot. Is this all just a bad dream?
First crime scene, huh? I know it's hard to take in, but try not to look away.
Without any concern to spare from me, Workaholic walks towards the pool of blood.
Soulful, armor. Head back up and fetch the other 3 detectives. After that, I'd like you to ask the chief to come to the manor.
He sums up the heart of the matter in a low voice.
It's a homicide. Someone has murdered senior detective. I called it.
There you go.
I freaking called it.
Obviously, I already knew, so I didn't want to say anything, but...
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. But no, I kind of had a feeling, because I'm like, it makes sense. He's randomly disappeared, and like with the hint of, oh, it probably coming up to a murder scene. I'm like, nah, it just makes sense. Because why would it show the murder of somebody else? I feel like that just doesn't make sense at this stage. I mean, I know.
Yeah, we're too early in the game. We're so early in the game. We've just met a bunch of people. They're obviously wouldn't have killed someone we just met, but
yeah, and they also
they had to have introduced whoever they killed. No, I've not played this before. I did what I had right around the time it came out. I had watched up through like the end of the first chapter, so I know like what happens here. I know like at this point and like around what happens here, but after that, I don't know anything. So, and then my friend here hasn't seen any of it. This is his first time seeing all of it. So I know a little bit. Like I knew this was senior detective who died. I actually don't really remember how the case plays out, to be completely honest. I know some things happen a little later, but
yeah. So I'm just trying to guess, and whenever I'm wrong, my friend Grizzy just thinks to himself, "What a fucking idiot! Why would he think that? I already know what happens. Man, he's stupid."
You know, after this chapter, I'm basically I'll be just as blind. Regardless of how detached he remains while objectively stating facts, it doesn't change the reality we're facing. A middle-aged man's corpse lies dismembered, his limbs strewn across the room we stand in. For the first time in my life, I am confronted with a murder scene.
Also, I just want to say this real quick. Senior detective is dead. Minus 10 points.
Couldn't even survive.
Yeah, what a loser.
Chapter 1. The Case of the Dismembered Detective. So are we... We were in chapter 1 before. Actually, I'm going to save real quick. Maybe this is a good point to actually leave off.